DAO Watch episode 18. This one is you're going to have to pay attention to the timestamps below because there's quite a lot of talk about one single Dash proposal and then I kind of shoehorn the rest in after. I'm Cryptosi. In this episode, we're going to talk about Dash, Pivx. There's no Evmos because they've got no proposals yet again. Um, Osmosis on the Cosmos in the Cosmos ecosystem, and a little project called Magic Square, which I really am enjoying. Those are the four projects that we're going to discuss today. Please smash that like button and subscribe. My subscriber count is ticking up slowly but surely, and I'm really enjoying that. And also share this if you're a member of one of these cryptos and you want to spread the word about DAOs, you want to spread the word about your particular crypto, then share this. And yeah, enjoy the show. And don't forget to buy the book. Link is in the description. Thank you. Goodbye.
Hello and welcome to DAO Watch episode 18. I am your always charismatic host, Cryptosi. Let me just move my chair, excuse me, over a little bit. And let's get started. So we've got the usual suspects today. Well, we've got two of the usual suspects today. We've got Dash and Pivx. Unfortunately, Evmos, once again, doesn't have any proposals. So there's no Evmos to look at. So we're going to look at Osmosis instead, along with our other guest DAO for this particular episode is Magic Square. So actually, let me just get Magic Square. Let's just get Magic Square up here. We don't actually want to submit an app, so hopefully it will let us take us back to the home page. But this is all very unprofessional start to this episode. We're going to make it a nice short episode as we are at episode 18, and when we get to episode 20 we're going to start having guests on, or we're going to build another sideshow where we have guests. But in this show we're going to look through some proposals, we're going to discuss the proposals, we're going to look through some new projects, and we're going to discuss some projects that the proposals are regarding. So the two guest DAOs, I should say, this week are Osmosis, which I'm looking at here through the Kepler wallet governance panel on the Kepler wallet, which I always find quite useful, and Magic Square, which is, I would say, almost like a Google Play Store for Web3 apps, let's say. So you got loads of different Web3 apps here. So that's Magic Square. Sorry, not Magic Store, Magic Square. So yeah, let's get started. And let's get started with the amazing Dash. Dash is just falling out of the top 100. They're still building. It's still a great project. It just doesn't carry the hype that new stuff has. I don't know I'm wondering if there's some kind of 2 or 3 cycle revive that projects will have. Recently we've seen that Bitcoin Cash has had some kind of resurgence, Litecoin has had some sort of resurgence, XRP. These are all projects that are coming onto their third bull market, and Dash would be another one coming up to its third bull market. So let's see what happens with these guys. They are a project that has been around for a very long time, in case you didn't know. And, it's not without its problems, of course. They've taken a very long time to build the next phase, which is their Dash platform. And, things are up and down, but more up than down, I would say, personally. So the proposal I wanted to look at today is actually 3 proposals, but all 3 of them work together to provide one answer. Now, this proposal is by a person called It's Demo, and the proposal generally is to give a donation, let's say. I'm going to call it a donation, to give a donation to a community of people called the Encounter people. Now, quite who these people are, I'm not really aware. I'm not really sure where in the world they're based or whatever, but I guess what they all have in common is they all have this Encounter app, and they all believe in this universal basic income. They all want to be a part of this universal basic income. Who wouldn't? It basically means that you get your underlying resources that you need to survive paid for by someone else, some kind of nation state or some kind of group or some kind of charity, or I don't know, some kind of cooperative. Some people say that universal basic income is the end game of capitalism. I would agree, probably not in public, but I would agree. So universal basic income, I would say, is one of those things that if you haven't heard of it by now, you will hear of it. It will become more of a topic as time goes by. It's probably the opposite of the current inflation-led model that we're tending towards. Right. That's nothing to do with crypto, and not really much to do with this proposal either. So the proposal is to give this money to these people. Now, the reason why he's put forward 3 proposals is because in Dash, you can only vote one of 3 ways. You can vote a yes, a no, and an abstain. Now, the proposal owner argues, I would agree, he argues that this is not sufficient. And what he would want is for the Dash community to decide how much to give. So if you decide yes, then no, and then abstain, or yes, then yes, then yes. So you've got 3 different chances to decide on which you want. Oh, this is very difficult to explain. So on digit 1, you'll decide digit 1, and deciding on whether you put yes, no, or abstain, you will decide what will go in digit 1. Let's say it's a 3-digit number. Digit 2, whether or not you say yes, no, and abstain, you'll decide what goes in digit 2. Digit 3, whether you say yes, no, abstain, you'll decide what goes in digit 3. And then there's some kind of formula which depends on what you decide on those 3 numbers, gives you some kind of rounded up or rounded down number that you then is that amount that you want to give to these particular people. Now, interestingly enough, there is no option to not give anything. The option to not give anything, which is quite counterintuitive, would be, I guess, to select maybe no, no, and no. I'm not sure, but there's some way to do it. And I remember it being counterintuitive because abstain actually was a number and not no. Anyway, so that's the proposal that this guy's put in. It's been met with quite a lot of hostility, really, because it is really deeply rooted in altruism. Should we be just giving money to people for free? Is that the Dash platform, or is that the Dash cryptocurrency's goal? Is it a part of the goal? Will it help Dash? He argues that it would, as it would force these people to adopt it for some period of time, force them to barter within their own communities, possibly using Dash as another instrument. I don't know. Maybe they'll just dump it immediately and use dollars. There is no way to tell. The money that is given to them doesn't have to be held for any period of time, because once it's given to them, it's theirs to do with as they please. And it's, yeah, so I came in and I put in a proposal that I feel that this is, I'll read my response actually. I said, I think this is 2 or 3 separate proposals wrapped up into one giant mess, far too difficult to get my head around. I got my head around it, obviously, in the end, but it was too difficult. It just took too long, because I had to first of all find out who is in Cointer. I had to find out what they are, the universal basic income. So I had to learn about this Cointer project and the concept of universal basic income I already knew, but someone would probably have to learn about that. Then I had to learn about this new 3-digit system and why it worked and how it worked and the reason for it to be. I feel like it was too many. They should have been as separate proposals. So that's what I said. I said that they should have been separate proposals. I love the underlying altruism. And there's, however, altruism is a pretty useless tool on scale and in a vacuum. So what I'm saying here basically is to try to get everybody within the Dash community to be altruistic towards the same cause is, I don't know, it's just not realistic. It's not likely to happen. If they say they're going to give these money to these Incognito people, and I don't know, for example, I'm going to assume they're somewhere in Southeast Asia or maybe Africa. It's the general, sometimes people feel good about themselves when they go into these places which are, we would say, less developed. I would probably say differently developed, and thrust upon them our ideals of capitalism. Take this money because you're only getting $2 and you can't possibly be happy with that. You know, you need what we have: traffic, stress, gender identity, politics and stuff. You need all less stuff. And so, you know, we go there and we tell them that we need all this. And some people within Dash may decide, you know what, I don't think this is a good way to spend the money. Maybe we should be routing it towards climate issues. Maybe we should be broadening it towards, I don't know, animal welfare issues. Maybe we should broaden it space race or whatever. Who cares? But I feel that altruism obviously falls down when you've got a bunch of people all deciding in different ways what is good and what is bad, and in a vacuum. So what we're saying is, we're just going to go and give these people money. Like, we don't know what outside pressures are keeping these people in the situation that you're trying to alleviate. Generally, these nations or these areas of the world where people are, as we would call, impoverished, that there is generally somebody there extracting some sort of value. If you're not going to stop that, then you're just wasting your time. So why don't you approach this slightly differently? Why don't you first attempt to tackle the issue of the yes, no, abstain voting, which I agree has its limitations. You're clearly more than capable of putting together a paper with a solution. So what I want him to do is, I want him to do things I want him to do things properly. I want him to put forward a paper and say, this is what I want the voting to be. This is how I want the voting to work. I want it to work such and such way so that you can vote on various candidates, or you can vote with a completely random number, whichever you want to do, and then we can pick the average of that number and we can vote that way, or whatever structure he wants. I want him to put it down on paper so that it's not like how he's done here, where he's trying to shoehorn his ideals into a system which is clearly not made for it. He's definitely capable of doing this. Reading through, he's one of these people who talks in riddles. He's very, very clever. He definitely will enter a room and want to leave it with everybody knowing he's the smartest. That's fine. I've got nothing against that. It's great. It's great to have smart people on board. The problem is, if they spend all their time just trying to impress upon you that they're smart with riddles, instead of putting down things where they can communicate with the rest of us who aren't as smart as them, then it's just pointless, and they just end up being misunderstood and attacked, like he has been, like quite a lot on here. Multiple candidates anyway. Second, formulate a formal partnership with Encointar. You can use a protocol which I developed for Pivx years ago. So what I'm saying is, then let's look at this Encointar project and allow people to weigh up whether or not we want to be aligned officially with them. We don't know, and we can't just take his word for it. We need to do, as a community, we need to do our own due diligence and decide whether or not these Encointar people are legitimate. You can't just come along and say, oh, well, they're helping these poor people in this faraway land, so therefore we should all give them money. We don't know what they're actually doing, and unless they're under the real scrutiny of the entire community by way of vote, I don't think the entire community should be forced to align with them purely through altruistic intent. I think it's, on one side it's naive and on the other side it's dangerous, but there definitely should be some kind of formal alliance before you start taking the funds of the network, the inflationary funds of the network, and just giving it to people via this other group who none of us really know about. Then complete your work with Renzi over at Encointar. I went to their forums and I saw that he was discussing with them and of them having a bridge, because how are we going to give them Dash when they're on a completely different network? This Encointar thing is a part of the Polkadot ecosystem, or Kusama, same, and it's it's not native to Dash. So if you send Dash to them, you're going to have to bridge it. Bridging comes along with its own problems. It means somebody's going to be in custody of these Dash funds whilst they're on that network. There's a lot more to do before you decide to give these people money or not. And none of this has been done. And then I'm going to read his reply, which he put to me. I haven't read this yet, so this only come up 15 hours ago. Once all these things have been completed, how much to donate to this initiative? I think the answer will still be zero. I still think Dash will say no, we're not going to give them money, because Dash is not a charity. They're not just going to be just giving money to people. It doesn't make sense. It's just not how it's going to work. With all the best will in the world, it's not how it's going to work. And if it does work, then send the charity to me, because I could do with the money. Or somebody will say the same thing. We'll send the charity to such and such. Why is it always going to these people? Why can't it go to, Anyway, but at least people will be able to donate from their own pocket. So if he does do all these things, then yeah, people that I would donate. I would want to donate, because then you know exactly where it's going. All of the due diligence has been done, and we're in a much stronger position. I think it'll make the inquiry community more aware of Dash and vice versa. Thanks for putting the proposal forward. Try to remain patient. I said that because I knew he was getting upset. You're asking a lot of masternode owners with this proposal, both in terms of work to understand the proposal and the mindset to understand the underlying incentives. Keep it up, mate. Thank you. I like people who are thinking and doing things outside of the box, outside of the status quo, as we know, because I always want to back them. Now let's see his reply. He's actually replied 3 times. I disagree with what you said, that the basic income should be given from the pockets of some people. The basic income's primary usage is to fix the injustices of the coin emission curve. These injustices are well known to the new generation and to the late adopters. That's why they detest all old coins. Read this old thread, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read that old thread. I warned the community about this hard truth, but very few took me seriously. It was the times of fat moo, cows moo, where everything went well. Just to remember this old scammer who's supposed to be a respectable member. If you deny the truth, you die, and that's where Dash is now close to death. Face the truth, and maybe you will escape. I think that's just rubbish. I think that's garbage. Dash and all the rest governed coins that have a budget have the chance to fix this injustices, but they go, okay. No, because there is no, because even the people who bought, okay, so what the argument he's trying to put forward here is that it's not fair that people who bought the coins early got the coins for cheap. But I didn't get it for free. So, the first people that you're going to have to give money back to is going to have to be the people who did buy first and who did build. They did build Dash. Dash didn't build itself, and it wasn't built by these new people who want to claim some of the value. If they want to claim some of the value, let them build it, or go and build their own thing. There's literally this is just silly. Having said that, I believe that more than 242 Dash should be given as UBI to the pioneer POP community of Encointer. The Encointer community worth a lot of money. That is why Kusama Polkadot Company ranked 13th. Why do you propose me to do all the above? As long as your prediction is, the answer will still be 0. There is no time anymore, mate. Dash community should act now. As Buddha said, the trouble is you think you have time. Okay, well, hopefully he watches this. Hopefully if he watches this, then he'll understand why I said to him to do all the other things that need to be done before you are, because you're just meddling a bunch of proposals all together, and people are just going to say no. And then when you do go to put forward the proposal to actually give them the money or to actually obtain the money yourself, people are just going to vote no. And then there's another problem with this proposal as well. And I'll show you. Somebody immediately said, when he put this proposal forward, it was one of the first ones. Well, here it is. No, that's not the original. Well, somebody basically said this, but I don't know where he got this from. Somebody said, thank you for confirming to me that lowering the Dash proposal fee from 5 Dash to 1 Dash did not solve anything, as he already suspected. Now the problem, what they're saying is, to put this proposal forward, this man's only had to, well, man or woman, this man has only paid 1 Dash, so it's cheaper for him at the moment. At the moment, it's cheaper for him to put forward this proposal. And the reason why often, and we had this discussion before about Evmos, that people will prefer to have a higher barrier to entry, so that people don't put forward proposals like this, which are clearly half baked. They are the best will in the world, and I really like the overall idea. I really like the overall idea of trying to fix the Dash governance, especially the yes, no, abstain. I like that he's trying to fix that. I like that he's trying to, tackle the so-called injustices, or that he's even paying attention to it. I feel like first things first is that you have to gain at least a somewhat more agreeable consensus that the emission curve is an injustice. And yes, granted, you won't be able to get that by asking the people who benefited from it, who are the masternode owners. You won't get it from them. You may get it from asking people outside who definitely haven't benefited from it, but I don't think you'll get it from them. But I think he really has to go back and look at that. But I do like that he's done that. The problem is that he's put forward this proposal. It's only costing 1 Dash. He doesn't really care if it goes through or it doesn't go through, because it's not going to go through. He can see. I don't think anybody is really agreeing with him, and then he's being quite combative with the discussions that he's having. And even I would say, even I was probably the most tolerant of his ideas, and even I got three snarky responses, but it's fine. For me, it's definitely going to be a no, this one. I'd say the pros are that it attempts to tackle this yes, no, abstain. It does attempt to partner Dash with another project, which I think is always good to look into those things at least. And to be fair to the Encounter project, it does look from a very brief viewpoint, it does look like a decent project. The fact that Polkadot and Consortium decided to give them a bunch of money, for me personally, means nothing. The time at which they gave them a bunch of money, they had a bunch of money to give. It would be interesting to see how much they would give when they're in the position that Dash is. There was a time when Dash gave $500,000 to somebody to do basically nothing. So timing, I think, is quite important. The negatives are, I think, the way he's delivered it. I think his personal tone is not in keeping with a DAO. He's not trying to look for the positives in the discussions he's having. I said quite a few things. He just told me what he disagreed with. He didn't look for the positives. He didn't try to find, or he's not trying to find the common ground, which is what I tried to do with him. He's not trying to do the return. You're trying to get money from the treasury to do something which the treasury is not supposed to do. The treasury is supposed to maintain, develop, and build the Dash network. The trickle down economics of just giving money to other people so that they would hopefully maybe stay in Dash doesn't wash for me. If you are going to give that money to people, how do you decide who gets that money? I think that should have been at least one of the parameters in the proposal that he put. He should have at least said, maybe we can give the money to these people or that people or the other people, because I want to know why my people aren't getting any money. And overall, it's got to be a no. The problem is that here, I don't think a no means a no, which is sneaky. I don't think I've managed to put that. Maybe I put that as a response. I might have put 2 comments, or didn't I? I don't think I put 2 comments. I was going to put 2 comments, but basically, yeah, there was one that said that I didn't want to agree to it. But then it's a bit sneaky that a no doesn't actually mean a no in this particular scenario. So, or an abstain doesn't mean an abstain. So he thinks he can do what he wants, but he can't, because it's his entitlement doesn't matter here. So luckily a DAO is a DAO, and you have to work with the many so that you can push forward things through. I guess that he would counter argue, and I would have to agree that there possibly is a few guys within Dash who have got very heavy hands, as with every young DAO, which is every DAO that there is right now. So, it's not really a democratic vote as much as it's a plutocratic vote. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This guy wants to get his own way, and he's trying to attract flies with vinegar, and it's just a no from me. There's just too much wrong with the vote. I think that I would love to see this guy put his considerable intellect towards something worthwhile, and build the system up before you decide to distribute it more. I feel like the argument of Dash is dying just doesn't wash with me. So for me, it's a no. And yeah, I feel like I spent way too much time on it. I'm gonna have to remake this because that's way too long. Actually, no, do you know what? I changed my mind. I'm not going to remake that section. I'm going to leave it. It's going to be long. The episode's going to be long, but there are timestamps in the bottom. So if you've got this far and you didn't like that was too long, you should have used the timestamps. Okay, so let's move on. Let's discuss Pivx. Now, within Pivx, I should not be looking at my own proposal. Well, I'm going to be putting in a proposal in Pivx to build a tutorial suite, but that's not the proposal that we're looking at. We'll look at that one in the next episode because it's not live yet. I'm doing the pre-proposal stage. So the proposal we're looking at is JS Kitty. JS Kitty is the lead developer of Pivx Labs, which is now, I would say, at the forefront of development on the Pivx chain. It's a group of maybe 3 or 4 developers, 4 or 5 maybe. And they're building things for Pivx, such as a light wallet and this and that, and shielded transactions on mobile, and they're doing a lot of stuff. He's put forward this proposal. It's a lovely proposal. This is going to be a nice short section. This is how a proposal should be. He's saying what he's done. He's saying what he's going to do, and he's saying how much he's going to be asking for. Sean's already come through, who's the graphics guy, and said, yeah, he likes the sound of it. It's very difficult to argue against this guy in particular. He's a developer in the way a developer should be. He does his development, laughs at people's jokes, and keeps his mouth shut generally, which is pretty much perfect. He doesn't impose his views on anything onto other people, away from, of course, when it comes to code, which is good. Situation that we don't always have with Pivx developers or other developers, to be fair to them. It's not only Pivx ones who like to, throw their weight around. Pivx Labs, they make my Pivx wallet. They've got their own Discord. They're just a pretty good outfit. They are the equivalent of the Dash Incubator, and as we've seen with Dash Incubator, they seem to be more productive, and they seem to be better. They seem to work better. They seem to integrate better with new developers. They seem to produce things that the end user values more. They seem to communicate what they're doing to the outside world better. They seem to be doing everything better than the core group, which barely still exists, let's say. And even in Dash, the core group definitely does exist, and Incubator are definitely communicating and doing things better. It seems, that may not be the case. I'm probably not qualified to give that assessment. So for this one, let's keep this nice and short and sweet. The pros are, obviously, we know who Kitty is. He's respected, and he's putting forward great software that we're using. I'm actually going to use my Pivx wallet to put forward my own proposals. It's the only wallet that I use now. There is no reason for me to use the core wallet. It's just rubbish. So for me, this one's definitely a yes. I can't think of any real cons or negative parts. Well, I'd say perhaps the roadmap could be fleshed out a little bit more, some sort of order or dates or times perhaps, but really clutching at straws for that's probably the only way. There's no metrics on that could help actually. Maybe if there was some metrics on how many people have downloaded my Pivx wallet, how many users they've got, how many servers they've got, things like that. That might be useful. He did give some thing about the Pivx promos integration. There's links to everything. He's embedded the links nicely. It's just a yes from me. It's just a great thing, and I think this guy's. I think he's maybe not the main man at Pivx now, but I think he's very integral. Not just in the work he's doing, but in his energy, in the way people are allowed to move around him. So that was definitely a yes from me. Very, very easy to do. And this is one of the benefits actually of understanding a particular DAO so well. So not having too many maybe DAOs in your portfolio. I don't know, maybe you've got between 5 to 10, that would be plenty. And you can really understand who's who and what they're doing and how they're doing it within each DAO. So you don't really have to look at what that he fixed CoinGecko rate limits, because you don't really care about that. That's not really that important to you. You know who the guy is and you see the bigger picture. So that one is definitely a yes from me. Nice and short and sweet. And let's keep it moving. From there, we wanted to go to Evmos, but they didn't have anything. So I will go to the next best thing, which is Osmosis. The reason why I'm saying this next best thing is because they're both IBC chains. They're both built to interact with this, I think it's Tendermint consensus. I always butcher my explanations of that. But anyway, Osmosis is basically let's say the Uniswap of the Cosmos ecosystem. So it's its own chain, but it's built mostly to do swaps. It's a permission chain, so for you to write or for you to add smart contracts to the chain, you have to get permission. And that is what this proposal is looking at. So this proposal is to allow Levana to upload contracts. Now, Levana is a perpetual, let's open now. This is quite interesting from a regulatory point of view, right? So Levana are a safe, low-cost perpetual swaps on Cosmos. So they'll allow you to long in a trade or to short in a trade. If you're not into trading, basically what that means is you can leverage, let's say. So if I've only got £100, I can trade £3,000, even though I don't have it. And then if it moves a certain amount, then I lose all my money. That's generally how it works, basically how it works. And this is interesting because normally to provide a service like this, you have to be licensed. Now, these guys definitely will not be licensed, and doing it in an unlicensed fashion, maybe not yet, but sooner or later will attract the attention of the authorities. Now, it's quite interesting that Osmosis have a permissioned pool, and then they have got a proposal like this, which is to put something on this permission chain, which there would be a case for its legality, I guess. Maybe people might say, oh, well, if there would be a case for its legality, or there definitely might be. I shouldn't say would. There definitely might be a case for its legality and its regulatory standing. And it's interesting that people have voted yes. And with the way that the voting system works within Osmosis, the people who have voted yes are possibly identifiable. So nobody has mentioned it, but is it possible that these people could come under scrutiny, such as Crypto Assassin, who said, yes, I want this to happen? So are you in effect aiding and abetting an unlicensed perpetual exchange? If these guys are allowing you to short and long US dollars, who knows? We haven't seen it yet, but we did see the thing with Oki Swap, which I believe Oki Swap. There we go. So this was an interesting. They had a legal battle with the CFTC because they didn't register under the Commodity Exchange Act, and they was looked upon as a person. Now, what was it they were doing? Let's see. Yeah, here we go. They were illegally offering retail margin and leverage trading services and unlawfully acting as a futures commission merchant. Now, I'm not sure, but I think these guys might be doing the same. I'm not sure. I might be getting this wrong. I think they're doing the same, and I think that the people who have voted yes have enabled it. So it's not like the situation where this DAO, I think previously was an Ethereum, where anybody can launch a thing. With Osmosis, only certain people can launch a thing, and certain people have to allow it. Now, does this change the onus of the responsibility? Who knows? But nobody really discussed it. The contracts have been audited by Peg Shield and FYEO for your eyes only. I'm sure that's a strip club in Manchester. But anyway, it's not really a great name for an auditing service. Users can interact with the testnet deployment, so you can try this out on testnet. I can imagine it would work. I think it's good for Osmosis that you can do this leverage trading. I think people will definitely use it. I think Osmosis is the right place for it. The good thing about these Levana guys is that they've already been building, I think they've been building on, say, SEI network. So they're not totally unheard of. It's not like if I pop up and say I'm going to build something and I haven't built anything before elsewhere. They have built this actual thing elsewhere, and it's been being tested by that community as well. As they've said here, it's been audited as well, blah, blah, blah. Audit reports can be viewed here. Interesting when people add this to a proposal. I think it's good that they add this. I think the problem is that most people come into an audit report, click it to open it, and let's pick some part off randomly, technical findings. Love seems very responsive, assistant will deal with all questions. There are many invariant checks that prevented unwanted attack scenarios. There was great test coverage provided in multi-test files. So then it starts to get into this sort of stuff. They did do some findings. I found one critical, one medium, which we remediated, and one low. Too low. Well, it's interesting. So there is quite a lot to read here. I guess the key thing is you want to see this, don't you? You don't want to see critical and still outstanding or whatever they would say. So they've looked into this. They've obviously dodged a few bullets by having this done by FYEO. But yeah, it's good to see. And for me, this one is a definite yes. Legal issues aside, which I would have liked to at least have been mentioned, because I don't know if these, because some of these validators will be doxable. Some of them will be doxable, and the ones that have voted yes, like the cybernetics, like who knows what sort of trouble they could get into for facilitating an unlicensed exchange. There's no talk of it being geo-blocked, of the Americans being geo-blocked, which is what most people would do so that they don't get, arrested or harassed by the United States. So this one's going to be a yes from me. Obviously, I have not voted in this, but if it was legal to vote in it, I would. And I want to just say I would vote in it and, get the door. So I think this is a good proposal. I might say yes, I might say no. This is not my legal admission of any guilt. Let's move on. Let's move on to Magic Square. I really like this Magic Square. It just looks like endorphin overload. All of these bright colours and stuff that I need to click on. All of these ticks and stuff like that. Yes, let's get into all of this. So they put in a proposal which I haven't actually opened. Right, so Magic Square have got a proposal. So what happens is, to get your things on here, you have to go through proposal, right? So to add your app, there should be a section here for you to add your own app or to get listed. Well, anyway, I can't find it, but there's a section to get listed. And when you do want to get listed, what happens is you end up going to Magic Square and the community there, and a proposal like this will be put forward, and then the community at Magic Square will decide whether or not they want your app on their store. Now, the app they want isn't for an app called Mantra Finance. So we can see the project page on the store here, Mantra Finance, and it looks like it's one of these these Uniswap v3 tools to help you understand what your positions are. I don't know exactly what it does, but it's some Uni v3. It's some DeFi dashboard. Yeah, some DeFi dashboard. Who knows? Who really cares? Some people care, and the question is, do the Magic Square community want this on their platform? And the answer is yes. I like this. It's a nice proposal. There's a good guide on how to evaluate. I like that they've done this on Magic Square. So what they've done is they put together some documents that help people to decide how to evaluate the proposals that are coming forward. I think a lot of DAOs don't actually do this. So this is something that I will take from this project and add it to any DAOs that I'm a part of in the future. So it's explaining to you how to participate in project validation, and it's giving you some tips for it's effective. Take your time, be objective, ask questions. You can speak to them in the Discord channel, stay informed, and provide feedback. I think this is brilliant. Conditions to vote: your EVM must be added to your account, verify your email, verify your username, connect Snapshot to the same EVM wallet, and then I guess you build up your karma by doing these things. You can change your vote. Validation process lasts 2 weeks, and they have to get 60% positive votes for them to get validated, to get put into the project. I think this is wonderful. I like the way they're doing things over at Magic Square. This particular proposal, it's not really the proposal that counts, to be honest with you. What I really wanted to show was how this DAO is allowing apps to join onto their platform using this process of I guess democratized access. Yeah, there we go. Offer democratized access. So for me, this particular one, I'm just going to say no. Just to be an a-hole, I'm going to say no. I don't want this one on there. But I like that I've got the choice to have it on there. Mantra Finance, I guess who cares? But I don't really care. Some people would. It's good that they can come and they can hawk their wares, and people can decide whether or not they want to take it. So for me, this one's a yes. I'm going to change my mind. I'll say yeah. In the spirit of cheer, because I should have said no to the one just now. It's probably going to get me nicked. But yeah, I'll say yes to this one. And that wraps us up after 42 minutes. Considering I spent half of the show talking about Dash. Oh my gosh. Don't forget, I've got a book out. It's called The Ultimate DAO Handbook. The link to the book is in the description. I'm also working on a bunch of tutorials for Pivx so that you'll know how to put in your own proposal on Pivx. Once that's done, I'm probably going to do the same on Dash, and then I'm going to do the same on maybe Evmos, maybe Juno, maybe both. And then I might work my way through different projects and just have all these tutorials all based on DAOwatch.blog, which is my website, which all of this DAO stuff is coming from. Thank you very much for watching. Please make sure that you smash the like button, hit subscribe, share, comment. If you think I was wrong about anything I'd said in this particular episode, I guess my main area might have been with the Encointer project. Maybe I said some harsh things about universal basic income and about, giving people money for nothing. Maybe my my inner capitalist was a bit strong on that one. Thanks for watching, and share, and I will see you guys again in about 2 weeks with the next episode. This has been Cryptosi, this has been DAO Watch episode 18, and I will bid you a farewell.